Magnificent, mystical, desolate tombs. Stunning landscapes where nature has taken over, along with brutal traps and ruthless enemies. This is classic Tomb Raider. But what you're looking at is not the original version from 1996. This is a fan-made redesign of that original game, with some influence from Tomb Raider Anniversary, completely free to download, and I have just finished playing it. This is Sabatu's Tomb Raider. Hi, and thanks for watching my game review of Sabatu's Tomb Raider 1. If you haven't played this game before, there are going to be some spoilers in the following clips. But yeah, I'm going to be telling you what the game is, sort of how it was made, and if I thought it was any good. And maybe after you've watched this video, you can decide if you're going to play it yourself. This video is going to be broken down into chapters, which I've included in the description, so feel free to jump ahead to certain points if you wish. Okay, so to begin, we know the brilliant original Tomb Raider developed by Core Design was released in 1996, and we know there have been many other games since then. But if, like me, the last time you played Tomb Raider was many years ago, until the remasters of the original 3 games came out earlier this year, your love for Tomb Raider has recently been reignited. And as I started to search YouTube for other Tomb Raider related content, I was coming across walkthroughs,
which would have really helped me as a child instead of using up all of my allowance on the PlayStation magazine for the written guides, or calling up a hotline for the cheat codes and being told off by my parents when they saw the phone bill.
So yeah, walkthroughs, speedruns, mods, and TRLE. So TRLE is the Tomb Raider level editor. Now there are plenty of videos about this on YouTube, but I know that it's a tool that allows you to build and play your own Tomb Raider levels. The editor was actually sold with the PC version of Tomb Raider Chronicles, but I played the game on the PlayStation, so this is why I didn't know about it. You do need a PC to build and play levels, but you don't need Chronicles. You can download the editor from some websites that I've linked in the description. There are different engines you can use to build levels, each with their own limitations, but even if you don't want to build, you can still play levels or even entire games created by other fans. Some are good, some are bad, but I went to trcustoms.org where I found loads of levels with various ratings, and one creator in particular stood out to me: Sabatu. Sabatu's Tomb Raider, created with the Tomb Raider 1 main engine, was first released in 2022, so I am a bit late to the party. But there have been game testers, feedback on difficulty, bugs, enemies, and there have been updates and fixes over the last couple of years. So the version I played was the May 2024 version, which at the time of this recording is still the most recent update. I have learnt that the version I played had significantly less enemies, so I'm not complaining about experiencing the game a couple of years after it was originally published. Sabatu has made a number of levels and games, but so far I've only played his version of Tomb Raider 1. Sabatu states this game is difficult with hard jumps, and I have to agree with that. There were many at funny angles, impossible timed runs, not impossible but bloody hard, and many enemies. I would need to save my ammo as much as possible. Spoiler alert, I didn't. The game may cause breakdown and rage quit. This is true, and I connected my PlayStation controller to my laptop to play. The reviews of this game are, according to the site, overwhelmingly positive. So now I'm going to go into what I really enjoyed about this game, but also what made me want to tear my hair out. And then I'm going to give you my top 3 levels, because why not? So first of all, there is no doubt about it. These levels are absolutely gorgeous. The use of different textures, objects, increased colour saturation, all enhanced the levels that I played for so many years, which now felt completely refreshed. In particular, I was blown away by Sabatu's version of Palace Midas. Just look how beautiful this level is. All of the Greece levels, in my opinion, were just breathtaking, with the waterfalls and extra foliage giving the impression that the areas had been abandoned long ago, but were more pleasant to explore compared to some of the bare, empty areas in the original game. Also missing from the original game is the sky, so I really appreciated this detail as well. I was in awe when I came across the main part of St. Francis's Folly, which was incredibly beautiful. Creativity, dedication and love have been poured into these levels. It is amazing that all of this has been put together with the Tomb Raider 1 main engine. Sabatu has turned this game into a breath of fresh air. Areas that were familiar to me had been expanded upon, much grander, more vast, sometimes to the detriment of my basic laptop. I enjoyed seeing the completely new areas added to the levels, and I never felt like it went too far away from the original game. Don't get me wrong, there were some completely unique rooms, but there were plenty of aspects of the original levels still in place, so I think the level would still be recognisable if you'd place me anywhere within that level. The main elements or objectives were still there. Cogs in the Lost Valley, along with a T-Rex or maybe two. Movable pillars in the Tomb of Qualopec, 4 keys in St. Francis's Folly, the 5-lever puzzle in Palace Midas, the Colosseum timed run with the gates, and the changing of the water levels in the cistern. These features were scaled up and or intensified, and I enjoyed that challenge. It felt like I was playing Tomb Raider for the very first time again. My favourite thing though was the transition of the levels. It seemed much smoother in this version of the game. Village of Vilcabamba had caves and also Lost Valley textures, with a hint of Tomb of Qualopec with the orange blocks. Tomb of Qualopec was gorgeous, intertwined with those Lost Valley textures again. In Colosseum, you could see the entrance to Palace Midas, and there was that room with the pipes that just had me thinking about how it could be connected to the next water-heavy levels. You got to return to the city of Carmoon at the end of Obelisk, just like the original game, but there was a cool twist. I also loved how there were some surprises along the way. Enemies I was expecting to show up in certain places or levels didn't. They were somewhere else. And there were some completely new creatures as well. So yeah, this game is really unpredictable and kept me on my toes. Sabatu's Tomb Raider takes those levels you know so well and could complete with your eyes closed, and breathes new life into them. And my ultimate fave was when you could see the sand and the sea as you emerge from the pyramid at the end of the final level. Now, the worst thing for me was those awkward jumps at funny angles. Sabatu did warn about this, but the frustration they cause is unreal. You had to be so precise, down to the micrometer, and at times it really disrupted the pace of the level. I don't want to know how long I spent on some of those jumps, and how many times I died. I almost reached the end of my tether. A few times I had to look up some video walkthroughs to help me with that very specific positioning. Thank you to Stephen3517 for your help with this, and to Eycore, whose video helped me with this downright cruel puzzle where I had to tread on some pressure pads that, in my opinion, were cunningly hidden. Sometimes I think there was more to it in a specific room. For example, here, when you stepped onto the pressure pad, the door in front of you opened. I thought you needed to keep something on that pressure pad. So I spent time trying to kill a crocodile so it would land on this pressure pad, when really I just needed to walk a few steps ahead, and the ground in front of me would have various other pressure pads that I could jump onto and prevent that door from closing. And of course, once you finally figure out how to get through that door, you are mutilated by 3 sets of guillotine doors. At other times, I'd let my guard down after a room felt easy and I thought I could safely move on. Trust me, if a room feels easy, there is shit waiting for you right around the corner. Sabatu also loves a boulder. There were so many in this game. The very first one in the opening level completely took me by surprise. And then you have that horrible room in St. Francis's Folly with the infinite boulders. And you even have underwater boulders in Village of Vilcabamba. Sabatu also messes with your mind. Sometimes you think boulders would be there when they weren't. Other times they came out of nowhere. Levers were another thing that made me want to rip my hair out. One lever to open a door, maybe two. Not with Sabatu. Try at least 5. Right. Of course. Oh, how many more? Oh, now, please. This has got to be the last one. Thank you. Oh, and I also learned that the backwards step animation is quicker than the backwards jump. There is a lot of trial and error in this game. And one more thing, the clock in this game will make you feel like you're a Tomb Raider novice, as it's set to real-time attack, which means it represents your entire screen time. Unlike the original game, which shows in-game time, so the clock would essentially go back in time every time you loaded a previous save. So Sabatu's game makes you realise how many hours you've been sitting at that screen struggling through the level, and it is embarrassing. I mean, just look at my final statistics. Okay, now let's get on to my 3 favourite levels. Obelisk of Kharmoon is the second of the Egypt levels. The original Obelisk is a fantastic level to play through, but Sabatu's version of the level feels much grander. I loved each area that you got to explore to obtain the 4 artifacts. All of them were more challenging than the original game. There were some ridiculous timed runs, plenty of jump scares, an unusual puzzle involving an invisible platform, and of course the level was stunning. It was really fun to play through and very cool to later return to the previous level, which is what happens in the original. But this part was now flooded, so that was even cooler, because you got to explore the same area in a different way. I didn't appreciate the really awkward jumps at the end of this level, which required a very specific positioning. But because that was technically part of the previous level, I'm choosing to forget about it. And to be fair, maybe it was just me making it look harder than it was. But overall, Obelisk was a brilliant level. The start of this level is very unforgiving. You're immediately met with boulders, spikes, swinging blades, and the most frustrating dash over collapsible tiles. Go on! No! When you finally conquered that horrific opening part of the level, you run into an ambush of aggressive animals plus Pierre. The rush is exhilarating, and at times I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but after all that, you're rewarded with a very satisfying dive emerging from the tunnel, just like the original game. The rest of Tahokun's Concealed Grave has some fun platforming and exploration, and again using that change of water levels to reach particular areas that you couldn't at an earlier stage. There were definitely too many jump scares for me to handle, but I still loved the level, so maybe I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. There were, of course, some timed runs. Movable blocks that weren't immediately obvious, and those dreaded guillotine doors that made me drop the C-bomb, because the lion made me jump, then the gorilla, and then those doors. The end of the level is very rewarding though. We finally get to take down Pierre, who has been annoyingly popping up throughout the Greece levels, just like the original game. Tohoken's concealed grave will test your mental grit for sure, but it is an exciting level to play through and gives you a massive sense of accomplishment once you see that cutscene at the end. This level was amazing. So Colosseum in the original game is not one of my favourites. I remember being really scared of this level as a kid because it was the first time you came across such a big area, and due to the limitations at the time, big areas took a while to render. So until you got closer, the arena looked like an endless black pit and felt like a horror game to my 9-year-old self. It's a completely different feel now though after the remaster, and I'm glad that they sorted out those weird Midas textures. Anyway, regarding Sabatu's version of Colosseum, I absolutely loved it. The beginning of the level brings you to a familiar scene, with the route to the arena being a little more challenging. As you arrive at the bottom of the stairs, a brilliant sight awaits you. Making your way up to the Colosseum arena, you can see Palace Midas ahead of you. I love this blend of levels, so to speak. There's a better connection here with the transition between levels compared to the original game. Even later on in the level, I could appreciate a room with water and pipes, making me think about how the system would be related to this. Going on the hunt for various keys and cogs, the level didn't come without its tribulations. Pierre interrupting my flow, plenty of gorillas and lions scaring the shit out of me, an irritating timed run, and an underwater maze. But I enjoyed being able to experience a far more attractive arena, viewing it from different angles and heights, and there being a sky with stars. There was also a cool part with a rotten old boat that was useless at first, but when you flooded the room, it allowed you to climb up and progress to the end of the level. I think I'll go as far as saying this was a close to perfect level. It had good pacing, a nice balance of exploration, platforming, puzzle solving, combat, and the music placement was well thought out. It had a nostalgic vibe throughout, whilst also feeling refreshed, improved, and certainly not as beige. Sabatu's Colosseum is just wonderful, and I cannot wait to play through it again, and that is why it is my number one. Maybe I can try finding all the secrets next time. 100% you should play this game. If you love the original Tomb Raider games, this gives you that nostalgia, but also kind of refreshes the game for you. The levels were similar but much grander, far more challenging, but therefore more rewarding as you progressed. As you study the different textures, changes and enhancements, you can definitely appreciate the time, effort and dedication that Sabatu has put into this project, which leads me on to my next point. Consider donating. This game has been made by a fan for other fans to enjoy and download for free. So to show your admiration and to support people from the gaming community, consider donating, if you can afford to Sabatu and other game and content creators. It lets them know that you appreciate their work and also encourages them to keep doing what they do. I've got no idea if Sabatu is going to watch this, but if you are, thank you for making such a fantastic game. Okay, if you made it to the end of this video, thanks so much for watching my review of Sabatu's Tomb Raider 1. If you are interested in watching my full playthrough, I have put the links in the description. Let me know what you think after you've played it, and if you have already beaten the game, let me know how it was for you and what your favourite levels were. I am going to start playing Sabatu's Tomb Raider 2 very soon, so keep an eye out for those reactions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching. Take care.